Okay, let's get started. So I'm gonna talk about two things today. First, I'll do a quick recap of yesterday. I'll review some of the interesting cakes, and then I'll explain the exercise that we're gonna do today. Okay, just a very quick recap. The point of yesterday was to draw a cake with the built-in function R. The reason is when you draw something, you immediately see the result of changing code. And the reason we're doing it in base R is not because it's pretty or anything, but because it should work as long as R has been installed. So there's very little potential for difficulties with installation. Today is very different. Today we're gonna depend on six different packages that all have to be installed correctly in order for the code to run correctly. So some of you undoubtedly are going to run into difficulties with installation. As soon as the assistant is here, he will help the people online, and I will help people here if they have any installation issues. When you install code, what's really happening is installing R only installs the bare essentials where you really need to get started. But anyone, yourself included, can write a package for R. So these are just packages written by other scientists or statisticians or mathematicians, whatever, that thought it was useful to have a package to easily access COVID-19 data, or to draw in a different way than we did yesterday, or to have access to GIS, so ways to plot onto a map, because that's quite a difficult transformation. And we can just download it all, and then it's installed on your computer. You only have to do that once. And from then on, you can load that code every time you want to use it and do something quite complicated, like draw a map of coronavirus infections. So let's discuss the cakes first. So the first exercise was just to add a layer to the cake. Everyone who submitted a solution was able to do this, so I'm not going to explain it. The code just shows you how to draw lines, so you figure out, okay, this line is drawn over there, and you add a bunch of extra lines to add a layer. Then the next exercise was to use Polygon, which also almost everyone was able to do successfully. I will show a couple of them just so everybody can see what Polygon does and how it's supposed to work. And then finally, the harder exercise was to use, I realize now I didn't, okay, it does say randomly draw from the uniform distribution. I heard a lot of people say run if, which I guess is a very intuitive interpretation of this word. It says R uniform, so R unif. This is right now we haven't had any statistics yet, so we've only seen R unif, but there's also R norm for the normal distribution and R Poisse for the Poisson distribution, etc. So just a small detail. And finally, the set seed function. Almost nobody used this. Not a big problem. I'll explain what it does. It's very easy once you see what it does. And it's also something that we will use every now and then in the course because it's very useful. Okay, so that's enough explanation. I'll just get to the cakes. So let me switch them in order. Some of them I named, so I'm not going to review all of them, but just the ones that I gave a name to show some interesting things. This one's called Chunks. I think this is someone, so these are anonymized, so don't worry, your name is not displayed anywhere, hopefully. Okay, why is this one called Chunks? If I try to knit this, it will give me an error. So someone asked a question about this. It says plot.new has not been called. Does anyone know why you would get this error? Has anyone else seen it? Yeah? Could you speak up a little bit? The last part? Yeah, exactly. So it's because the chunks are split up. This is perfectly fine to work in multiple chunks if you want multiple figures. But when the chunk ends, what R does silently is this, device off. And that will end plotting. So if you open a new chunk, you have to again start with the coordinate system. So you would have to again start this with plot and then some arguments. Or alternatively, you just remove this over here, or you turn this into a comment and then remove this opening of the chunk and this closing of the chunk. Then it will work. Alternatively, you can just do run all, but you know, if you want to knit it, it has to work. Okay, in this case, if I do run all, we can see our first contender. Nice cake with 4 layers. It has filled in polygons, so everything works correctly. We have uniformly drawn sprinkling on the cake and 2 candles. Oh yeah, if you want to use our uniform, the point is that you don't have to do things manually. Otherwise we could just think of places to put the sprinkling. So the easiest way to use this function is to put it inside points. So I would put it over here, for example. And then this one I would put over here. Now, why do I do that? Because then I don't have to copy paste a bunch of numbers. I can just run this and it'll add random sprinkling. Yeah, and every time I run it, it adds more sprinkling. Yeah, so that's how you were supposed to do it. This was the hard exercise because there was no explanation anywhere. The idea was that you Google it. I also heard some people yesterday say, but that's cheating. Yeah, well, I guess my job is cheating then. You should Google things if you don't know how it works. And actually, Googling things is a very useful skill. It's also something that you can actually get better at. For example, I saw some people yesterday Google by saying RStudio and then plot, for example. But remember, RStudio is just the interface, so that's not going to give you helpful results. If you want to know how the language works, it's just R, the letter R. So then R plot.new has not been called yet, an error message or something. So that's one thing. And the other thing is, of course, that you can use the help file. So you can go over here to help, or you can, is this big enough, by the way? Yeah, you can do a question mark and then, for example, points. Yeah, and that will take you to a help file. Okay, so that was the first one. The way to fix it would be to remove the different chunks like this, and then it would actually be able to knit. So, and I really hope it actually works. Yeah, okay, no errors yet. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, and it will give you a nice PDF. Okay, let's go to the next one. Over here I have angle density. That's one of the more creative uses of the polygon function. I didn't know this was a feature, but yeah, let's just run it. So as you can see, this one has a very interesting shading of the cake. We have some triangles over here. We have lines in one direction, another direction. And apparently, I had to read this up because I didn't know it. Polygon doesn't just fill something in, it just draws a bunch of lines. And with the density argument, it's defaults at 100, which means full density. But if you set it to something less, like 50, you can actually see where it's drawing. You can see the individual lines. And you can use that to create funny patterns in this case. So that's how this user was able to generate this pattern. I'm going over them quickly now. If you want to have a look at other people's solutions, in the R Crash Course folder of general research skills, I've uploaded all the solutions uploaded by you guys, so you can look at each other's solutions. Yeah, and they're numbered the same way as I'm discussing them now, and named the same way, so you can easily find them. Okay, then, this is the most unfortunate submission. It's called Use Our Markdown, Not Console. So anyone want to guess what happened? Someone just uploaded this. So this is the standard template. I have no idea what your cake looks like because there's no code in this file. I'm guessing that this person was typing over here like plot, iris or something, you know, and yeah, sure, that works. But as soon as I close R, all of this will be gone. So yeah, not a really big problem here, but yeah, for during the general research skills course, always I will show it slowly because it's important. Always go here, create a new R Markdown file, give it some name like test or whatever, and then you can remove everything after the preamble as explained in the second video. And then you can create a new R chunk. It's a bit of work, but if you do this little setup and you start typing here, you can never lose your work. Yeah, and of course you should save your file somewhere. Okay, this one I don't need, so I won't save it. So that's that. Okay, this one uses cycling colors, which is nice because it's one of the things that was in the R self-test. Oh, by the way, I am looking at the chat from my phone, so if it's too quick or inaudible, just type something. This one, yeah, has nice sprinkling with different colors. And yeah, the thing about programming is, of course, that the better you get at it, the more you can automate things. In the beginning, you're putting in a lot of effort and spending a lot of time searching for things to generate something really simple. But the better you get at it, the more you can automate your work and the more efficient it becomes. And this is an example. You could say I want red, green, cyan, black, gray, purple, but that takes forever, right? So a much nicer way is just to realize that R has a default set of colors, and you can just say I want color number 1 to 10, and it'll cycle through the colors. Yeah, so that's what this person did to cycle through the colors for the sprinkling. Okay, then this one, Polygon Trick. I don't know why I know. Oh, maybe it's another shading one. Oh yeah, this is a different one. Anyone have an idea how this one was drawn? So here we have this interesting effect. Maybe the person who drew it can chime in. No idea? So what I mean is these patterns over here, these triangles. Yeah? Yeah, exactly. Just whenever you use base graphics, every time you add something, it will draw on top of what you already have. So they probably just first drew a rectangle and then drew a triangle on top over here and then drew another triangle on top over here in a different color, and it looks kind of like an envelope or something. Yeah, so that's if you know the inner workings a little bit by trial and error, you can figure it out. Okay, let me quickly respond to someone in the chat. This crash course is not a mandatory part of general research skills. Of course, you're welcome to join from now on, or yeah, you can also follow the older days. Everything is recorded. The first day you can find on the studieloopbaanoriëntatie page, and from today and from yesterday onwards, everything is on the GRS General Research Skills page. Yeah, and you can email me after this, and I can give some more information. Okay, next one. Here we have, oh yeah, this one has an error. Not many of you had errors, by the way, so good job. If I try to run this, it says error object px not found. Anyone remember what that means? If you ignore the word px for now, have you seen this kind of error before? Yeah? Yeah, that's one reason this occurs, if you misspell something. In this case, I guess someone in the console wrote that px should be some vector, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, it's not in the file. So yeah, you can't have R create something if you haven't specified what it is yet. So just like in the self-test, you first have to do px and then specify whatever it is. Maybe it was a vector like this, 1, 2, 3. And the same for py, and only then does it work. So like this, y also, yeah, or you can do it with R uniform. And if I run it now, then we actually get sprinkling at locations 1, 1, 2, 2, and 3, 3. Yeah, so that's why this one didn't work. Okay, then cycling point character. We already saw someone cycle through the colors. You can do the same things with the point characters. So if I run this one, yeah, you can see it's a little bit difficult to see, but you can see at least that the size and the shape of these sprinklings are not quite the same, which is a nice touch. The way you can do that is by just giving a sequence. So in this case, we have 10 locations, yeah, and we have 18 to 20, it's 4 different point characters to cycle through. Oh, 3, sorry, I'm tired. But it doesn't matter, it will just go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 until it reaches a length of 10. So you can use that trick to, to spice up your cake. Okay, here we have low accuracy sprinkling. Named so because, it's not quite on the cake. So the way to fix this is to to specify the minimum and the maximum of our uniform, and then it will only sample within that range. Okay, next one. We have an n-layered cake. Okay, I don't know if this cake, if you made this up rather than finding someone else who did this. That is really impressive. It almost works. So this person wrote a function, which is really cool, because let's say that it is your job to draw cakes. It probably isn't, but just for the sake of arguments, let's say that we were actually doing a useful analysis and you have to do it every day. Then it's really nice to create a function, because the first time it's a real headache, and it takes forever to understand what the code does exactly. But as soon as it works, all you have to do is this, and an entire new cake is drawn. And I can do cake layer 3, and oh sorry, I have to create a new coordinate system first. Yeah, always. I also sometimes forget it. Cake layer 3, and I have a 3-layered cake. So that's really cool. This is how functions work. It's something we will do on the last day of the crash course, something that we won't do in general research skills, because it's a bit more difficult working with functions, and it's not a programming course, a general research skills. So this level of R comprehension is already beyond what you'll need for the course, so congratulations. Okay, this one's called title. I don't know why. Oh yeah. Okay, let me clear the environment pane first, because we'll see what happens. This person thought that they could write title equals birthday, but yeah, that just works as an assignment operator. That's the same as doing this. Yeah, and you can see that it actually worked. It created a variable called title with the value happy birthday, so I can print it now. If you wanted to appear in the plot, there is actually a function also called title, I think. Yeah, and that will actually print the title in your plots, which is probably what was supposed to happen. Yeah, so if you do equal sign, this is what it was like. All it does is it creates a variable named title with the content happy birthday. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3 more that I'll discuss. This one has a color gradient, nicely done. I will show you how you can do that. I have to zoom in. So this looks really cool because they're all, matching colors, so to speak. The way to do that, there are many ways to do it, of course. You can have a function, generate colors, but again, that's a bit more complex than you have to do for this course. But I will show you an easy way. If you just Google R colors, you'll get to this page, for example. And this will show you all the default colors in R. So you can use these words. Let me zoom in a little. Yeah, like aquamarine, azure, chocolate. And these colors are always in R. So even if you have nothing of packages installed, you can use these words to generate colors. And that way you can just pick a couple, like maybe these, coral, to have a nice matching color scheme. Okay, second last one. Angle density. Yeah, so this is another person that used the argument density and the argument angle for the polygon function. So all the way over here. Let's see. Yeah, over here. We see angle equals 90, so under 90-degree angle, and density is 20. I think that means 20% filling. So if we zoom in, we can see that this generates these lines over here. And that's another way that you can use the polygon function to draw lines. As long as you make the density thin enough, then it will look like lines. Okay. Last one, lie. It's called. So the cake's like this was very nicely drawn, by the way. I don't know if it's visible from there, but different levels of shading are used by playing with the density function. Density argument of the polygon function. Flames have been drawn on top, and I was like, I don't recognize this font because we have a very easy function to generate text, which is called text. But Instead, what this person did is just literally draw the letters with a whole bunch of polygon functions. So yeah, I applaud your efforts, but there is a much easier way to do this, which is just by saying text. And okay, where shall we have it? Maybe at 8,8, so over there. And the text should be, let's do it in capital like the one over here, a lie. And you can use this argument. You can find this in the help pages too to make it bold. And yeah, so it saves a little bit of effort. But still nicely done, and at least you really know how Polygon works now. Okay, so yeah, that's the solutions that I received. Yeah, so I have the prizes over here. So we have a little over 150 students for general research skills, and I wanted to have enough prizes. So it turns out there are more prizes than participants in the course, so everyone is welcome to a slice of cake. But yeah, you can pick them up during the practical. Before I will keep a couple for the people following online. And the last thing I want to do before we get to the practical is quickly explain what we're doing today. So today we're going to draw a map of the coronavirus cases on a given day. And this is using the advanced plotting library called ggplot2. I would argue that this is the most used plotting library. I really like Base, but most people think it's too much work and it gives you a headache. Base gives you a little bit more control over what happens, but ggplot2 requires much less code, and in the end your code looks nicer. So not just your plot, but your code is also more readable. And you can see that over here because the entire code to generate this map is shorter than most of your cake submissions, and it draws a coronavirus map for any given day. So yeah, it's you can clearly see the power of R and the power of these open source packages by running this. Let me quickly demonstrate how you can get started. The first thing to do is to copy this first chunk over here, which contains the packages that you need to install. So I'm going to go to RStudio. I'm going to close all this up for a moment. And let me just clear this up too, so it's clear what I'm doing. Okay, so let's say you're starting like this. First thing you should always do, create a new R Markdown file. Let's call it COVID-19 or something. And output doesn't really matter because we're not going to knit it. Then delete everything after the preamble. Yeah, so it's everything after the 3 dashes, and create a new R chunk. Then we're going to paste this, and we're going to run this. Now, this is going to take some time because it's going to try and install them. There will be some combinations of operating systems and versions that will give you errors trying to install something. We can always solve it, but sometimes it's not very obvious how to solve it. So if you get any errors, just raise your hand and we will help you fix the problems that you have. Oh yeah, you keep seeing this warning that I'm sure many of you have also seen about R tools. The warning states that if you want to build packages, you have to install the latest version of R tools. Building a package means creating your own package, which is not something that we're going to do, and I guess is probably not something any of you are going to do anytime soon. So you don't need R tools. You can just ignore the warning. Okay, so if it says this, successfully unpacked and MD5 sums checked, that means the installation was successful, and then we can proceed. So new R chunk, yeah, we can set this one not to run next time because you only have to install once. Oh, sorry, not echo. Evaluate is false, which means if I were to knit this, it doesn't try to reinstall everything, which would be annoying. Yeah. Then the next one is to copy this one, the script that actually draws it. This takes some time because it has to access an online database, one for Earth data, the other for COVID-19 data. So this, yeah, depending on how fast your computer is, you need to be a little bit patient. Also your internet connection. Yeah, you can see it's downloading some stuff because these maps are rather large. You can choose any level of detail. So yeah, it takes some time. And there's our COVID map. So yeah, we ran a beta version of this crash course in September for the master students. and I just made it in June, so it says June 30th. And then the exercise tells you to do different things, like maybe draw the map on a different day or something. So you're probably wondering, how do I do that? Just go through the code and think to yourself, okay, which part of this code is responsible for doing what? So for example, if the assignment says you should change the date, then, you know, just have a look over here. What would create the date? Anyone have a guess? Yeah, I made a variable named date for this reason, and we can change it to, I don't know, the 1st of January or something, to see what it looks like on a different day. Yeah? If you do this, you have to rerun the whole script, just to be sure that everything works correctly. So, I run it again. I have to be patient again, because this takes some time. And now we have the map for the 1st of January. Now you can see the power of the script, because you could use this to create an animation or something of how the cases develop over time. So yeah, there are a bunch of different exercises. Most of them are just have the purpose for you to change the script a little bit, see what the effect is, see if you understand it, then copy the original script again and start over. At the end, there are 2 challenges. The first one is data cleaning. So in this script, there's a part where I overwrite some names. Like in one of the databases, the US is called United States. In the other database, it's called United States of America. Now, your computer wants to know very precisely what you mean, so it has no idea that these are the 2 of the same things. So you have to give them the same name. So that's this part, the data cleaning part. I just did a few of them to demonstrate it. And then I give another example of how you could figure that out, how you can find the ones that don't match and how you can fix it. I would say try and add at least one country that isn't matched properly with data cleaning. And then the final challenge is to find the day with the most infections somewhere. So the most, in this case, brightly yellow colored part. And then I want you to center this map around Asia. So yeah, just there is instructions throughout the ggplot script, throughout the exercises on how you can change it to a different area. If you've done all that, if you've done some data cleaning to add at least one country, for the cake assignment, the best cakes receive cake. For the Corona assignments, I can't give you Corona. But there is a beer brand called Corona. So the first person to submit their working solution to Brightspace in RMD or R script file will get a 6-pack of Corona beers. And that's all I have to say. For the people watching online, if you still have questions, we will keep an eye out on Brightspace. So go to the Q&A there for general research skills. And I will close the stream now so you can get started. Good luck.